I don't know if there's any truth to this article right here at all, but I want this to be true. I want the next villain in the next Batman movie to be Hush. Whether that actually happens or not, I don't know. This might be a pipe dream, but I saw the article and thought to myself, I got to get into this one right here. So this one is bounding into comics. Matt Reeves promises for the Batman 2 might confirm Hush is the villain. So I'm glad they said might confirm because more than likely this is not the case. This is probably just dreams and hopes, but one can hope and one can dream. Articles written by J.B. Augustine. Director Matt Reeves is saying his dormant follow up to his 2022 Elseworlds thriller, The Batman, will go places no film with The Dark Knight has before. We'll believe it when we see it. But his bold claims as of late opened the door for a villain never seen on the big screen, supposedly. And I mean, you could guess Hush because Hush has never been seen on the big screen, but I mean, you never really know. As of right now, just from what the article says so far, this is nothing more than conjecture. But again, one can hope. I had a lot of ideas, and then Mattson Tomlin, my writing partner, began the process of uh, diving into the comics. I like this. I like this. When I hear directors and writers say they dove into the comics, that gives me hope. Not that I expect them to have a direct one for one translation from the comic books to movies, although that should be done. I don't necessarily expect that. So if it doesn't happen, it is what it is. I understand. But diving into comic books, that's a good thing. We sat together and we watched a lot of movies, honestly, and not all of them were from the realm of Gotham. Reeves told Josh Horowitz of Happy, Sad, Confused at the Emmys via Games Radar. Okay, so they're reaching into other areas, getting some inspiration for what they do in Batman. And I kind of got that feeling when I watched the Batman. I got the feeling that there was inspirations taken from many different places in making this movie. It wasn't just Batman comic books. And you could see like they must have watched a lot of just detective films in general. And you can definitely feel that as you watch the movie, in my opinion. That's kind of the impression that I got. He added that himself and Tomlin are keeping the focus on Bruce Wayne and delving deeper into his past and maybe his psyche. One of the explorations for me was to do something that pushes even further into the character of Bruce Wayne because the first story is so much about Batman. I always wanted in the movies to make sure they were focused on the character, Reeves said. In my mind, I was thinking to myself, man, if they would do the Court of Owls, that would be so fire. But I think this sequel will be it for this Elseworlds storyline. And I definitely don't want them to do the Court of Owls in one movie. Please, Warner Brothers, if you ever delve into the Court of Owls, do not try to do that in one movie. You definitely need multiple movies to get this thing done and to get it done in the right way, in my opinion. I never wanted to lose Rob at the center of these stories. And that's what we set our aim on. So we had to pick the right villain that digs into his past. I won't tell you where we end up, but we're super excited about it. And I will say it's never really been done in a movie before, he confirmed. He can say that. I want to get excited, but, I expect him to big up his own movie, and I expect him to make comments like this, especially to generate some excitement around this upcoming movie. And I think it's going to be successful just based off what I saw on that first Batman flick from Reeves. These remarks have us and most everybody else thinking we aren't getting just any new foe with links to Bruce past, but one or perhaps two that have been rumored for a big screen turn since the Batman story production. At the time when pandemic protocols were the norm, there was a rumor that Reeves was planning a trilogy that would introduce new foes in each film. In the second part, according to the rumor, Hush was going to be the bad guy Batman had to contend with. Moreover, if the story followed the comics, the bandaged baddie would pull strings to make Bruce life heck. Of course, it says something else, but yeah, he was gonna make the life of Bruce Wayne not so great, not so great. And the Hush comic, I need to read that again. I have it in my one of my short boxes there. I need to dig that thing out and read over it again, just in case this is the direction he goes in. I don't know though. I don't know. I don't. I even though that was rumored back during the pandemic, I don't know if he would go that direction now. Just because, for me, Hush is another one of those stories that I wouldn't necessarily want told in one movie, and the only reason I say that is there's so many things that would have to be rushed, and I just don't think that's something you want to do with such a villain. You definitely want it to marinate. You want to do it right. The rumor which circulated on Reddit was to the contrary, however. Through its rather old, though it's rather old, the contention was that the Batman 2's Hush storyline would be a passage of smaller stories. Yeah, I don't know if I like that idea. Although it could be done, well. That could be something that's done in a way, because there inevitably there's always something that doesn't seem right when you first hear it. Then when it's delivered to you, you think to yourself, "Oh, I don't know why I had such a problem with this when I heard about it, because this is actually delivered well." I was that way with Rob Pattinson. Is that his name, Pattinson, as Batman? I didn't see it. My son was like, "Dad, you need to look at some of the movies he did that are actually really good. Like his acting ability is great," which, you can be a great actor, but that still doesn't mean you will fit the role. The story that Reeves wrote for the Batman, Pattinson fit perfectly into that role. It worked. It really did work. Still, as Reeves is saying now, they weren't going to be narrative threads seen before, at least not in live action. Oh, maybe that's why they said that, because wasn't there a Hush cartoon? I haven't kept up with all of the Batman cartoons, but I believe there was a Hush cartoon done, or cartoon representation of that story. In the comics, Hush was Surgeon Thomas Elliot, a childhood friend of Bruce, who became the villain out of jealousy and used the Riddler to tell him everything he needed to know to be a threat to Batman. Though the character has appeared in other media, he's never appeared in a live action feature. Good grief. And his iterations were never as true to the source material as they could have been. In the DC animated universe, for instance, the Riddler was Hush, not just a middleman. Never mind those CW Batman appearances, we're better off forgetting. Yeah. Yeah. I thought there was a Hush cartoon. I vaguely remember it. I believe I watched it. But the comic book is done so well. The Batman made references to Elliot's family and links to Thomas Wayne as well as blatant name drops in Riddler clues. That was more of a lore fueled Easter egg for fandom, but it could still affect the next movie, and we shall see. Reeves might also let on that Hush was his first choice years ago in a Twitter Q&A. No one so none of this is coming out of thin air. In the Aristotle spouting master manipulator, if the Aristotle spouting master manipulator is at the heart of a new conspiracy that peels back a layer of Gotham's seedy underbelly, the clues were all there right under the carpet. And I guess this is from 2022. Let's see what he says here. I don't know what he's gonna say. Let me turn the volume down a little bit so it's not blowing your eardrums out. Let's see.
That car could go. So, top speeds, I can't tell you what I wasn't clocking it, but it could go fast.
Okay, so he's talking about the car. It's not really much there. Let's check this other clip, see what he says.
There are so many, and I guess I don't know. I think Hush is a really interesting one to do. There are just I'll choose Hush. I'll say, but that doesn't mean that the next one will be Hush. I just want to say there are so many, and what we would do next, what we're going to do next, if we have that opportunity, is it's still in the planning stages, and I have a lot of ideas. So please don't latch onto this and say, hey, they're doing the Hush movie. But that is one that's a character that I love that I would love to see done. And maybe we'll get the opportunity to do it. But there are many. There are many.
Okay, I could definitely see people latching on to this and saying, yeah, Hush is the villain, especially after listening to that audio. I mean, the way he said that, like this is a character that he loves, you would think if this is a character you love that much, then this is a character you want to bring to the big screen. And it would be thrilling, of course, if done correctly and as accurate to the comic book as possible. So we shall see.